For my first essay assignment, I decided to do the question on one of the case studies we did and to decide whether or not this person was immoral for what they did. I chose to do Chris Watts. I did one of my discussions on Chris Watts, and we discussed it thoroughly in class, and in my opinion, I think it is the most interesting case study that we did. Chris Watts was the husband to his wife and the father to his 2 daughters and unborn son who was due pretty soon. One of his daughters was only 4 and the other was 3. So they were very young. Chris Watts murdered his whole family without any remorse. He strangled and suffocated his wife and his 2 daughters. He buried his wife in a shallow grave, and he shoved his 2 daughters into 2 tanks and threw them to the side by his work like it was nothing. He was very untruthful when it came to what happened. He told everyone that they went missing and he had no idea where they were. In the meantime, he was having an affair with a woman. His wife was unaware, and the mistress was unaware that he even had a wife or any daughters. He made up lies saying that he had no idea where they were and that he was super torn up at the fact that they were missing. He even went on the news to plead for people to help find him, and how he was upset and very devastated by this. Shortly after, people realized that this was not true when the mistress came out and told her side of the story, and they very soon found out that he was not telling the truth, and they all figured out what really happened. Their families, or the wife's family, was devastated by this. In a CNN report that we did in class, they said, one of the family members said, "This should never have happened. This is not condonable. This is something that we will never get over." And another one said, "I trusted you to take care of them, not to kill them. You have to live with this vision every day of your life, and I hope you see that every day of your life." So these are many reasons why Chris Watts is immoral. I am arguing the point that Chris Watts is immoral. So the first reason why he is immoral is that he just went about his day. After he killed his whole family, he just went to work the next day and acted like nothing happened. How you could do that is very unclear. He was concealing the truth from everyone. He was also concealing the affair, which is the wrong thing to do and which is immoral for lying. And if you kill those that are innocent, then you are immoral. It's just a basic fact. It's in the Bible, "Thou shalt not kill." So if you kill, then you will go to hell, and you are a bad person. In class, we discussed he also was a radical egotist. He's a radical egotist because he chose his affair over his family. He could have continued the affair without killing his family, and this was from notes in class from Professor Carabin in our radical egotist section. Chris Watts could have handled it in a moral way. He could have ended his marriage with his wife, and he could have carried out his relationship with his mistress, but instead he decided to take matters into his own hands and kill his whole family. Why he had to do that, there is really no reason for why he had to, which is why he's a radical egotist, because he didn't care about anyone but himself. He just cared that that he could carry on his relationship with his mistress, and he didn't have to deal with his family. When he didn't have to do that, he could have got a divorce, he could have told his wife, he could have done anything else but have to kill his family for his own benefit. How you could kill your family, I'm not sure. It is inhumane, and there's so many better ways that he could have dealt with this situation rather than what he did. And afterwards, he showed absolutely no remorse for his family, for the family of the victim. He really didn't care. He acted like he was fine. He really just acted like nothing happened. And that's going back to what I said earlier, that he just went on his normal day, his normal life the next day, acting like nothing happened. So that is another reason why he's a radical egotist, because he really did not care what happened. He just cared that he could get away with it, that he could just live his regular life, and act like that his family was missing, while the wife's family was worried sick, and when he knew everything that happened, but he just decided not to lie and tell them that he had no idea. He also told the mistress that he didn't have a wife, he didn't have any children, so he really didn't care about them. And also, the way in which he disposed of their bodies was inhumane. It was disrespectful, treating them like they are garbage. That was another thing that we discussed in class from our notes that Dr. Karabin wrote. To kill a person, or rather 4 people, is disgusting enough, but to kill them and then dispose of their bodies the way he did, those are his 2 daughters, his children. He was supposed to look after them with his life, take care of them, love them, but instead, same goes for his wife, but instead he just threw them away like garbage. And if they really mattered to him at all, then he wouldn't have done that. He wouldn't have killed them in the first place. So all of these points go back to that he only cared about himself, and he was a radical egotist, and ultimately, which means he was immoral. In conclusion, Chris Watts was immoral for what he did to his family. He killed his entire family, and in order to benefit himself, so that he could live the life he wanted, instead of taking the moral route, which was to divorce his wife, and then they could have lived their lives without him, and he could have just went and did whatever he wanted. But instead, he chose the immoral route, and he was a radical egotist by only caring about himself and for what he did to his family.